Hello dear students, hope this video finds you in good health. Today we shall start with chapter 2 of unit 1 on saying please by Alfred George Gardiner. Before beginning with the lesson, let's get a little info about the author. Alfred George Gardiner was born at Chelmsford, Essex in 1865. He started his literary career as a journalist. I hope you know who the journalist is, the one who works for papers, etc., takes news, collects news, etc. Editor of the Daily News, London at 37 years, he raised the question of morality in everyday life. His pseudonym or pen name was Alpha of the Plough. His essays are uniformly elegant, graceful, and humorous. Even the one which we are going to do today is quite humorous when you read it. He teaches basic truths of life in easy and amusing manner that we can make out very easily from his essays. His contributions are the Daily News, the Manchester Evening News. His famous writings are The Pillars of Society, Pebbles on the Shore, Many Furrows, and Leaves in the Wind. Before beginning with all the lessons, we have the icebreakers that we solve. So here the questions is that we have to list some words of courtesy. Now there are a lot of words of courtesy that we use in everyday life. Thank you, pardon, welcome, bless you, may I, excuse me, please, sorry. You must have overheard all these words, and we use this very frequently. So these are the words of courtesy that you have to list down. Now, what is the use of these words and why do you use it? When do you use it? So you'll get all the answers when we further do the lesson. Now, when we are doing this lesson, we should at least know the theme of the lesson. Why are we doing this lesson? So on saying please, the author points out the value of good manners in social life. Now, we are social being and we are living a social life. We are talking to people around. We need everybody's help. So for that, it makes our life easy if we have good manners instilled in ourselves. He emphasizes the importance of courtesy and politeness in daily behavior. The author emphasizes it. Okay, so he's asking us to be courteous and polite to people we talk with. He shows how polite speech and manner sweetens the atmosphere around and how discourtesy and ill manner spoil or pollute it. It is a two-way thing. When you are polite, it can sweeten the atmosphere. But when you are not, you are discourteous, it will spoil or pollute the atmosphere around you. It works hand in hand. Everyone loves a person who is courteous and humble and dislikes a person with a rude behavior. One who is good mannered will always get respected and cooperation from people around. It is a known fact. In this lesson on saying please, the author points out the values of manners and courtesy in our social life with the help of two stories. So when we begin with our lesson, there are two stories in there. One is the story of a liftman and the other is the story of a bus conductor. We begin with the story of the liftman. The story of the liftman. To establish his point, he gave the example of the liftman's story who threw a passenger out of the lift because this man told him to take him to top without using the word please. So there's this incident where the author mentions us that there is a liftman who's taking passengers top and down, and here there is a passenger who comes and tells him top and he forgets to say please, or maybe purposely he does not say it. The liftman demanded a please, to which he denied. So the liftman hurled him out of the lift. Now here it shows the action when the liftman demanded him please and the passenger did not say this, the liftman actually used violence on him and he just threw him out of the lift. Now the author wants to point out who is wrong here. the liftman or the person. When the liftman was fined for his behavior, the other person was not punished. Now, here is the thing that we need to learn. So, the author wants to say that discourtesy or being ill mannered isn't good, but it's not a punishable offense. So, this is what we learn from the lesson, that if you are discourteous, you are not going to be punished, or there is no offense in the law that you will be, it is not a punishable offense. Law does not have a punishment for talking harsh, being ill mannered, or showing a bad behavior. The author also wants to tell us that the pain of an injury and a wound recovers, but the pain on our self respect spoils the day and creates a chain of bad behaviors. This is the point to remember, students, when the author wants to tell us that though the violence will leave a marks on your face, etc., but the self respect, it puts a mark on your, it spoils your day actually. Now, there's also another example that he gives us for Sir Anthony Absolute. He threatened his son, Captain Absolute, and he went out and he threatened his servant, who again scolded a small boy. So, we can see one rude behavior creates a chain. If something happens to us, somebody scolded us, we go and scold somebody else, and then it creates a chain of it, which in turn creates a bad environment in the society. So this is what is the story of a liftman, how they use. Another story is the story of a bus conductor. Now, before beginning with the story, I would like to read a little note from the textbook. Here the author mentions the first requirement of civility is that we should acknowledge our service. Please and thank you are the small change with which we pay our ways as social beings. They are little courtesies by which we keep the machine of life oiled and running sweetly. Another very fact that the author wants to tell us is that we need to acknowledge things. Now we are saying that we have to be courteous, we have to be polite, we have to use words like thank you and sorry. But when are we going to use it? When we acknowledge the fact that something has been done to us, we are grateful for something, then only we will say thank you. When we think, when we acknowledge the fact that we've committed a crime or something, some mistakes, then only we will go and say sorry. So acknowledging the fact is also one of the important factors. Now, in this story, the author mentions the polite conductor, though he says many of us will not agree. Of course, the bus conductor he's talking about, and he's mentioning, he's actually giving him an adjective, polite conductor, which usually conductors are not. So it's just quite humorous that he has used humor. He also mentions him as an unpleasant specimen who regards passenger as his natural enemies, as creatures whose chief purpose is to cheat him. So he says that, again, a little humor here. He says that whenever a passenger enters a bus, the conductor thinks that his natural enemy has arrived and now he is not going to pay for the ticket and he is just going to run away like that. So it's just sarcasm that he has used here. The author narrates an incident when once he had an experience of getting on a bus without any coppers. Coppers here mean money or coins, and he felt like a knave. But the conductor on the bus was very polite and booked him a ticket for free. Through this incident, the narrator wants to tell us that every one of us has this experience of getting on, into the market or into a bus without any money. Sometimes you forget our purse or something like that. So the same thing happened with him, and he felt like a knave. A knave is a dishonest person. But instead of shouting or throwing him out of the bus, the conductor actually booked his ticket for free. So this is very unusual thing that he finds for a conductor to do. In another incident, the same conductor tramples the feet of author and was very courteous in asking if he was hurt. So the same conductor, once again, the author was traveling in the same bus and the conductor tramples his feet. And very courteously, he says that, did I hurt you? Of course, the author was hurt much, but then the courtesy of the conductor let him say no, he was not, and he was all right. He also mentioned some qualities of the conductor, that he used to go running upstairs if it would rain to tell the passengers that there was a room downstairs. Now, in these points, the author is actually telling us the qualities of the conductor. See, this story is completely opposite of the first story. The liftman was quite rude, but this conductor is quite courteous. So, what your rudeness or your discourtesy can do, and what a courteous quality of a person can do to us, and there is a given a stark contrast of the things. Now he says that this conductor, usually there are buses in London, etc., where the upstairs of the bus is without the roof. So this passenger, when it this conductor, when it rains, he goes upstairs running and calls the passenger downstairs if there's some place for them, so that they don't get wet. So of course, this is something, really, a bus conductor you will never find. With an old people, he was considerate as son, and with children, as solicitous as father. If he had a blind man on board, he would settle him down safely on the pavement as well. So now again, see such good qualities that if he see old people, he would let them sit and make them comfortable. With children, he was like a father that they would not fall off or something like that. He also made them comfortable. And if he had a blind man on board, what would he do? When the bus stopped or he wanted to get out of the bus, he used to actually go down and leave him on the pavement, make him comfortable, make him cross the road, etc. So of course these are some of the qualities which we usually don't find in the conductors. So this is such a courteous man. Now nothing clears up my spirits like a fine day. It is a quote by Keats. He says that with this he means that if it is, it is a fine spirit when things are happy around you. It is just a fine day. You feel so happy about it. So, if bad manners are infectious, he says, so are the good manners. He means that when people have bad manners, they hurt you. It is quite infectious. And if people are good with you, you are definitely going to pass on those good vibes to the others as well. Lastly, the author speaks about being courteous to everyone we meet and infect the world with good manners to pass on the good vibes and spread the happiness around. So, this is the message of the lesson that the author wants to give you. He says that we have to be courteous enough, pass on the good manners, be good mannered person, and please pass this on so that we have a very happy world to live in with. Thank you so much.